Can the police chase someone who runs away at a level 3 stop? To find out, you have to read People versus Cleveland, but it's 7 pages. Don't have time for that? I've got you covered. This is TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read, where I cover New York Court of Appeals cases and I try to do it in 5 minutes or less. This is the episode on the case of People versus Cleveland. The citation for this case is 2024 New York Slip Opinion 02144, published by the New York Court of Appeals on April 15th of 2025. The issue in this case is whether the police can chase a person running away from a level 3 stop based upon reasonable suspicion. I'll explain all that in a few moments. To better understand and appreciate the context of this case, what you have to know as background is that in New York, there's a case called People versus Bour, Debour, that describes and defines how police can interact with the public, with people in the streets. And it's all based upon the level of suspicion they have that criminal activity is afoot, basically. There's a 4-step process. Basically, for the police to approach an individual and ask questions, they need an objective, credible reason. That's level 1, objective, credible reason. To ask questions based upon, sort of indicative of criminality, sort of accusatory questions, they need level 2, which is based upon founded suspicion that criminal activity is afoot. To stop somebody, you need level 3, which is reasonable suspicion to believe that a crime has been or is about to be committed. And to arrest somebody, you need probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. This case is about level 3. So the facts of this case are basically that the police are driving on patrol in a police car, and they see a woman throw a bottle that hits the car driven by the defendant, and it explodes. Like it bursts into a million pieces. The defendant's driving this car in a lane of traffic. He stops the car, or the car is he gets out of the car in the lane of traffic, and he starts walking towards the woman with his fist clenched. As he's walking, so the police see that interaction. And they say, okay, we're going to stop. They approach the guy, get out of their car about 25 feet away, without guns drawn. And what the defendant does, this is the male, not the woman who threw the bottle. The male who had his fist clenched and was approaching the woman angrily, turns around, reaches for his waistband, turns around and runs away, leaving his car in the middle of the street. And the police chase him. And when they chase him, the defendant, turns out, throws away a bag allegedly containing drugs, which they ultimately capture him and capture the drugs. They charge him with the drugs. And he has a motion to suppress that evidence, saying you had no right to chase me. The judge ultimately says they did because they had a level 3 reasonable suspicion to believe that a crime was about to be committed. It's possible he was going to attack her. It's reasonable suspicion to believe there was about to be an altercation, an assault, an attempted assault, a menacing between the male and the female. Ultimately, he's found guilty. He appeals. The appellate division affirms what happens. It goes to the Court of Appeals. And here the question is this. Because the original issue was that he was approaching the woman with his fist clenched. If the reasonable suspicion was that he was going to hurt her, the second he turned around and ran away, does that reasonable suspicion go away? Should the police be chasing him if the basis for the reasonable suspicion was he was going to attack her and now he's running away the opposite direction of her? And ultimately, the finding from the Court of Appeals here is reasonable suspicion, if justifying the initial approach, does not go away. In fact, the holding here in this particular case is that if the police had reasonable suspicion to approach the defendant based upon what happened, when a suspect flees during a lawful level 3 stop, founded on reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, the police may pursue the suspect. So the police are allowed to pursue, even if the reasonable suspicion was based upon something that has less likelihood of happening because the defendant ran away. The police are allowed to chase. It actually bumps up the level, is what other cases have held. Running away bumps up the level. So a level 3 bumps up to a level 4, but you're allowed to chase at a level 3. So and it does not get erased by the fact that he sort of abandoned the hostility of the initial interaction. And that's the case of People versus Cleveland. Have a good day. If you like what you just saw and want to see more just like it, please hit like or subscribe to let me know.